Good morning. I'm Carla Jones. I'm the Chief Financial and Administrative Officer at the Community Foundation of Greater Des Moines. I'm pleased to have with me Elizabeth Monticelli, who is one of our investment consultants with Mercer Investment Consulting. So maybe, Elizabeth, we could just start with a quick snapshot of what we're seeing now in the market environment.
Okay, well, we had a good, solid second quarter for global equities. Again, the Magnificent Seven and the S&P 500 had a great second quarter, not as good as the first quarter, or they gave a little bit back in July, but just some good numbers all around. Fixed income, just because of the interest rate situation, hasn't delivered as much, but the hedge funds in the portfolio came in and took their place for fixed income and have really delivered. So we've got some stuff working in the portfolio, just fixed income because of interest rates. It's struggling a little bit. But generally, the GDP numbers came out well. Inflation's a little bit lower. Unemployment ticked up a little bit higher. So just still steady growth is what we see through the end of the year.
Okay. So we had a strong July. I think we are anticipating that our returns for the long-term growth portfolio are about a little over 8%
right
for the year to date.
Yep, you were up 6% through June 30, and then we had a July started out difficult, but it turned around. So you should be up in July too.
Great.
So maybe 8% through July.
Great. So you mentioned interest rates. So we believe there might be something happening. We've been in a pretty strong interest rate environment right now, but what's the market looking like?
Well, we had high interest rates, and then yesterday the Fed met, and the Fed chose not to raise. It was widely expected. No surprises there. We're waiting for the meeting notes to come out. There might be a subtle hint that they will cut in September, but the markets have priced in a cut. So the 10-year Treasury is down to 4%. I know that you are looking at all the money market funds, and you're looking also at fixed income because those rates have come down a tiny bit. And if the Fed cuts in September, we might see a little bit more. But right now, the markets have 100% have priced in one Fed cut.
Anticipated in September.
And then today, the Bank of England cut, the Bank of Japan cut. So I think everyone's just very data dependent, watching those inflation numbers, watching unemployment, and watching growth and earnings, and just carefully reading all the data because it's just a tough decision to make.
Absolutely. Lots of impacts there. So the other thing I think that everyone's thinking about, and I'm sure that none of us can get away from the commercials taking place, but is the political environment. So as we lead up to an election and then thinking about the time after the election, what is Mercer's thoughts on that?
So we don't prognosticate on the elections, and there have been a lot of elections this year. I mean, this is the year full of many different countries having elections, but the election will happen one day and it'll be over. And the long-term growth portfolio has a long-term investment horizon. Yes, there will be some implications for maybe tax changes, but again, these are endowed funds. So it's a blip on the screen. But regardless, we do our analysis on Democratic houses or a Democratic-led Senate, a Republican president, all mixtures. And we've gone back and looked at the subsequent 2-year returns following elections. And generally, they've all been positive and not too far off. They don't vary differently, whether it's Republican or Democrat. So again, I think the election will happen. It's a one-day impact, and I think that all the donors and agency investors in the long-term growth fund recognize that they have a long-term horizon.
That's a great segue to wrap this up. But just as a reminder, we do structure our portfolios with the long-term endowment model in mind. And so things like this, like the political side of things, aren't having, we're not making changes specifically because of that. We've got an asset allocation. We are in it for the long term. And we're making very strategic long-term decisions as a committee.
Exactly. And that's their questions are totally geared towards the endowed funds and long-term horizon. They are definitely focused on fees and very much on volatility and risk for the long term.
Great. Well, thank you for taking a few minutes to watch this video. Our team is available to you. If you have any questions related to investments, you're welcome to reach out to your account manager. The finance team is also available. Mercer team is always on site with us quarterly, so they're available to meet with our fund holders as well. If you need anything, please feel free to reach out.